Whenever there are Israeli victims of terror or soldiers who die in combat, we pause in our tefillot and we mention their names and acknowledge their deaths in shul. I'm not going to be with you this Shabbat, and so I wanted to take a moment to mention their names and just honor that loss. So this week, remember the murder of Hillel and Yigal Yaniv, two brothers, murdered on their way to yeshiva, and Elan Ganelis, who was living in the United States, grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, but was back in Israel for a wedding and was also shot and murdered this week. One image that I will take with me into Shabbat is the photograph that was shared online of Hillel Yaniv's makom, his spot in yeshiva, his desk where he sat and studied. There was a photograph of a memorial candle on that empty spot in the yeshiva in Kiryat Shmona. But also you can see in that picture the books that he was learning or that he was planning to learn at the time of his murder. I saw a set of some of the writings of Rav Kook on his makom and some of the more obscure writings of Rav Kook. This is somebody who was thinking about really big questions and thinking about really big ideas. And like every death, it's a tragedy, and that picture is one that I'll have in my mind over Shabbat. There's another image that is in my mind. This has been in my mind this week and is taking with me into Shabbat because in between the murder of the Yaniv brothers and the murder of Elan Ganelis, a Jewish mob attacked the Palestinian village of Hawara, burned dozens of homes, injured dozens of people, and shot and killed a Palestinian medic named Sama Akhtash, who had just returned from Turkey, where he had been part of a Palestinian delegation conducting earthquake relief. In the midst of this deadly assault on the civilian population of Hawara, an assault that coincidentally allowed the actual murderer of the Yaniv brothers to escape because everyone was all focused on this riot, the rioters paused to daven Maariv, and a video of them davening, a 10-second video perhaps, with burning homes in the background as this crowd gathers to say Maariv, was shared and multiple times online this week. And that's another image that I'm taking with me into Shabbat, because in this 10-second clip, you can clearly hear the group of worshipers crying out, Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach, may God's great name be blessed. As you know, I revere those words. I devote a lot of time and energy every week to convening minyanim so that we can say those words. But as I frequently say, the words of Kaddish are a metaphor for the ways that we can live our lives that in such a fashion that God's name is sanctified and magnified. But of course, the opposite is also possible, God forbid. It's been so disheartening to read responses from the highest levels of the Israeli government that were at best equivocal in their condemnation of the murderous riot in Hawara, and the silence of so many religious leaders has been profoundly disappointing to me. So I want to leave you with two quick ideas. This Shabbat is Shabbat Zachor, a Shabbat dedicated to remembering the unprovoked attack by Amalek upon our ancestors when we left Egypt. We remember that attack. We remind ourselves, as if we could forget, that anti-Semitism expressing really great evil is a perennial condition of Jewish life. And we also take warning that in our confrontation with violent enemies, we need to preserve the moral high ground. No less than Shaul HaMelech, King Saul, had his kingdom taken from him when he copied Amalekite characteristics in his battle against Amalek. He spared the king and killed the weakest. Spared the best sheep, killed the weakest. And note as well how Megillat Esther emphasizes that the Jews of Persia did not take any of the spoils of victory when we defended our lives in the final chapters of Megillat Esther. This was expressed in a very, I think, profound way by Esther Yaniv, the bereaved mother who this Shabbat is mourning two murdered sons. She said earlier this week, we have a huge hole in our hearts. Nothing will close this hole. No construction, no demonstration. You ask what to do? To add Torah study. They were both on their way to Torah study. We try to find the good things. The second idea I'd like to share with you is one that my teacher, Rabbi Clapper, frequently speaks about, and I believe I've shared as well over the years, the three cardinal sins of Judaism that we are prepared to give our lives for is derived in the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin. And these cardinal sins are derived from scripture, from sukkim that seem to suggest that we give our lives rather than worship idols, and they're derived from drashot, from rabbinic hermeneutics. But finally, the foundation of that from which we build our moral universe, the fact that we cannot kill an innocent person in order to save our lives, is logic. The Gemara says, "My chazid, how could you think? How could you presume that your blood is more red than the blood of this innocent victim? Maybe his blood is more red than yours." And so, at the core of our moral universe is a logical inference that every human life has equal value, and we can't kill innocents even to protect ourselves. And I think this means that if you don't understand that every human life has sanctity, that every human life has equal value, then you're going to construct your moral universe on a shoddy construction, and no Torah is going to be able to fix that if the foundation itself is flawed. So finally, the message I want to leave you in is a request to please join together over Shabbat, pray for Israel, and pray for peace. When good people come together to pray, to reinforce one another in good things, that has a positive impact on the community, that has ultimately a positive impact on the world as well. And I'm really excited to have the chance to join with you all in just a few days and to celebrate Purim together with a lot of joy and with a lot of goodness. Shabbat Shalom.